Hi, and welcome back to Am I Crazy Or? Where I, Lisa Påske, entrepreneur, businesswoman, mother, and general troublemaker, take on everything that makes us feel like we are going crazy. This season we are talking ADHD, attention deficit disorder. I think it should be called attention rerouting syndrome, ARS for short. This season I'm talking to fellow ADHDers and also experts about everything from diagnosis, symptoms, medication, and the lived experience. If you have ever thought, am I crazy? Or might it be ADHD? Then this is the podcast for you. Buckle up. Look, squirrel. Hi, Bethan. So lovely to meet you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming on this podcast.
Cool.
So I was introduced to you by my best friend, Kim, and you guys have known each other for ages. And it's kind of like interesting that she seems to be a magnet for ADHD people.
Yeah. I have thought that. Although I've never thought about Kim as having ADHD actually, but she's definitely neurodiverse, I guess, in some ways, isn't she?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about you, Bethan. So what you do and just, in general, where are you from?
So I'm from the Welsh Valleys, but I live in Cardiff now. I lived in London for like a long time, and I run an agency. We call ourselves an impact agency. So everything that we do and the success that we have, we measure it against whether or not it's had a real world impact. But we're rooted in communications. So we do lots of PR, lots of social, lots of stakeholders, lots of public affairs, that kind of thing. And we tend to work in areas where there's going to be a positive impact in some way. It's not charities necessarily. It's a lot of it's working with businesses to try and put purpose at the heart of their commercial strategies. Because businesses have got a better opportunity to actually make an impact because they've got the money to do it.
Yeah, true. So you were also diagnosed with ADHD quite late.
Yes, yeah.
When did you get your diagnosis?
So I got my diagnosis, what year is it? 3 years ago, my first sort of official diagnosis, but in my 20s, I had come across an article, sort of like my late 20s, like I'd come across an article about ADHD, and I was like, and I spoke to my friend Abby, who is a clinical psychologist. I was like, what if I said to you I had ADHD, what would you think? And she was like, oh my God, definitely. She was like, I can't even believe this is a question. But then, and then was like, but yes, maybe, definitely. I think maybe something you could look into, basically.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay. So you had an inkling already in your 20s.
Yeah. So I'd read an article in my 20s, which sounded just like me, in particular, sort of like the distraction.
Yeah.
Because I would always find myself like in meetings having like disappeared, and I didn't know how long I'd been gone. And you don't know, like, what is your face doing when you've disappeared during that time? Like, what is it? Like, what am I thinking about? Like, I've no idea. And then you're back in the room and you're like, oh my God, did anybody notice that I wasn't here? And it didn't seem to matter, like, how important that meeting was or how much I wanted to listen. Like, it was absolutely impossible for me to do that. Like, or sometimes I could hear, when I disappear, I can still hear what's being said, but I'm still not listening, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
But if somebody said to me, like, what did I just say? I'd be able to, like, repeat the words that somebody just said, but without knowing what was happening before. Like, it's very strange, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like a comprehension thing. It's like it's a different part of the brain that kind of process the words and then understand it.
Yeah.
And I always had this as well, where I really struggled to, if it wasn't of interest, or if it didn't have, like, if it wasn't a story-based thing, I like instructions, for example, oh my God, if someone gives me like oral instructions for something, my brain just goes blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, no, I can't do that either. We were chatting about this yesterday about different sort of learning and like how you take in information. And yeah, I definitely can't listen to instructions at all.
No, it's actually quite scrambling for your brain, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And so what about when you were younger? Did you have any, looking back now, do you think that there were any signs?
Yeah, definitely. But I think because ADHD shows up so differently in women, I don't think, like, you know, especially like, you know, in schools in the valleys, I don't think anybody was really paying much attention to that kind of thing. And I think, but me and my friend Carly, we used to go to ballet lessons together, and we would always get from the ballet teacher that we were in cloud cuckoo land. And like that was it all the time, because I think she would just see us, you know, like, you know, everybody's like looking or, you know, marking the lesson and whatever, and Carly and I would just be like, oh, like, you know, like somewhere else completely.
Yeah.
And it after my diagnosis, and I actually went back to some adult ballet lessons. Like I've done them as an adult, like on and off my whole life. And I'd be going to classes like on a Thursday, like after work, and we stood at the bar and the teacher would like run through the dance, and that's it, I've gone. Like, you know, he'd run through the exercise and then the music is starting and I'm like, shit.
No.
But like, because I'm a visual learner, I can just like, I'll just look and copy.
Yeah.
I'm really, really good at copying.
Yes.
So like, and I think that's how I used to mask and get away with stuff. And I danced my whole life.
Yeah.
But I was just copying. And now I think to myself, my gosh, what if I get meds and the meds work and I can actually listen? Like, how good will I be at dancing? Like, will I just like be in a class and not just being like, oh my God, you know? Like, I think I've just got some meds that I'm sort of trying out at the moment, like slowly. But I've not been to a dance class yet, and I'm buzzing to go. Like,
it's so interesting.
I'm gonna have to find a morning dance class during the week.
Yes, exactly. Morning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super interesting. I also did ballet as a kid. My mom was a dancer. Yeah. I'm wondering whether people with ADHD get kind of drawn to dancing.
I do. I think I was chatting to another one of my friends, Sarah, who'd be great for you to have on the podcast actually, but. That we naturally gravitate towards exercise where balance and like having to center yourself as a part of that exercise like is key. So like yoga, like Pilates, ballet, things like that, where you do have to like balance and like be centered in order to perform the whatever function it is.
Yeah.
I think apparently you do gravitate towards things like that, or gymnastics. Stuff like that, like one, probably to expend energy, but also two, to kind of like, I guess, quieten your brain.
Yeah.
I read about it, I think ADHD 2.0, I think the book is called, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of those books essentially had said the people that, you know, without realising, gravitate towards those exercises.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. My mum was very likely ADHD as well. She was alcoholic, and I reckon the reason that she kind of went into drinking a lot was probably undiagnosed ADHD, and was always seen as quite trouble. But she was a gymnast and a ballet dancer, and so that kind of makes a lot of sense to me. And for like, I remember as a kid, as a teenager, very specifically, when I felt really upset, I would dance in my room. Like it was a way of being able to express my emotions. Like it was just felt like it needed to come out somehow. Yeah. And that really helped me feel better.
Yeah. I always find as well with dancing, well, like I'd recommend dancing to anyone, but it does really help you, I think, especially if you've got ADHD, to actually just be in a moment.
Yeah.
And not be like thinking about amazing different things. Like, and you're being very present, and you're, you know, thinking about what foot goes here, what this does, or whatever, or just not thinking at all and just moving.
Yeah.
And also I just think for dancing as well, a lot of dancing can be really quite silly, and being silly is like literally the best medicine in the entire world.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So once you got your diagnosis, how did that feel? Did you experience any kind of realigning, or like grief. Like I felt a bit of grief for not having known for so long and not really realizing.
Yeah, I think it's a ride, and it's one that, like, I'm still on, I guess, really. I definitely felt like at the time, it was really funny, and I think this is quite common, like, on my way to the diagnosis, I thought I don't know, like, you kind of second guess yourself, and I was chatting to my friend Heidi, and I was like, what if I don't have ADHD and I'm just being a bit drams? And she was like, in the kindest possible way, there is no doubt.
Yeah.
She was like,
Yeah.
just go in. And it was funny because I was on my way up in the lift to go and get my diagnosis, and a little lady like was coming in, and so I'd like go stop the button for the lift and let her know, come in, and she was like, oh no, it's okay, I'll get the next one. I was like, oh no, there's room, and I had like a case, and because I came up to London to do it, and I was like, no, there's room, look, I'll just move over like this. And then she was like, okay, and she came in, and then like I pressed the button on the lift, and she was like, oh, I'm going to the third or whatever as well. And then like the lift was like so slow. And I was like, oh my God, this is the world's slowest lift. And she was like, and she said in the most calm, like, unhurried way, are you in a hurry? And I was like, no, I'm actually early, which is very rare for me, even though I did miss my stop and I had to walk back. But I tried to give myself extra time for being early. And she was just like, is your name Bethan? And I was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, you're in with me. I was like... And like we did like the session, and like it was a really, really thorough process. Where like the form I filled in was like just ginormous and massive. And, you know, my boyfriend filled in a form as well for me. But she basically told me, you know, I could have diagnosed you in the lift. Like,
yes, exactly.
She was like, but I think I felt like relief a little bit. I felt like a mixture of emotions. Like I wanted to, like, I don't know, punch the sky, like dance, scream, cry, like, you know, like loads of different like emotions that I think you feel validated, but like you're saying, you're grieving about the person that maybe you were, or like how you spoke to yourself, and like, you know, all of those things as well. And I give myself so much more grace now than I ever have before, which is really nice. But I think, but yeah, there is like, you know, sometimes there is resentment there as well, you know, and like personality traits, like, or negative personality traits that you may have been assigned, or, you know, lazy, or not being on it, or not, you know, like maybe having a short fuse, or whatever those things are. Yeah. It's just because you weren't caring for yourself in a way, because you didn't have the knowledge to do it. Whereas now you know, I'm not perfect, but like, and I definitely, like, when I get overwhelmed and I've not been looking after myself, I can still have like a short fuse. But those times are so far between now, because I've built a life around my ADHD. And I just wondered, like, what it could have been like if I'd had that knowledge and that insight sooner, you know, and like so many decisions I would have made differently, you know, like all of that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting, isn't it? The feeling, I would say mine is also very much the way I treat myself that's changed, and how I talk to myself. Yeah. Because that's, especially in like my teens and my 20s, it was a constant kind of like, can't believe you said that, oh my God, they're gonna hate you, that you should have done this, no, why did you say that? And it's like constant. Yeah. And then you're just like, oh,
I still wake up and think about someone I said 15 years ago.
Oh
like,
my God.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And also I can't, but also now I kind of like, I've learned to kind of love that part of me that says random shit at random times.
I know.
I'm like, oh, that's kind of like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, when I say stuff, and I, like, for me, I don't see it as weird stuff. It's just like, I literally am saying the thing, which is like probably everybody else is thinking, but nobody else probably says it. And like, if people are ever taken aback, I'm like, it's okay, I say weird shit all the time, don't worry about it. And then people are like, oh, okay, cool. Like, as if you have to like just tell people it's okay, I'm just a bit weird sometimes, like, you know, and people are like, oh, right, nice.
But I think the world would be quite dull if it didn't have those people that would say the thing that everyone's thinking.
Yeah.
And also it'd be less fun. Yeah. But yes, I definitely can see how the seeing things differently afterwards. Yeah. But yeah, I also had like that grief thing of where I was like, oh, what could it have been like? Like, it would have been a lot easier by knowing. So I get really upset when people go like, oh, I don't see what the point of getting a diagnosis is, or everyone's a bit ADHD.
Oh my God, yeah. I always tell people that is categorically not true.
Yes.
And like, I read something about a really good description about, like, you know, everybody gets headaches, but not everybody has like a migraine, which is completely debilitating and changes the course of their life and how they function on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Like, that's what the difference is. So like, everybody isn't a little bit ADHD. People are often forgetful. People can be forgetful, but it's not like, you know, it's completely different. It is completely different.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I am forgetful. I don't feel like forgetful is one of my things. I don't know. I
also think it's that people...
My boyfriend listens to this.
Yes,
like, yes, you are.
But I also think it is, especially with late diagnosis, I think we have a tendency to have created systems for ourselves.
Yeah.
So like, for example, being late, or like people are like, well, you can't be ADHD because you're never late. Oh my God, it takes me so much energy not to be late.
Yeah.
But it also, like, I'm not late. You're right, I'm not late. But it is because I have probably several alarms for it. And if I haven't put in my diary, I won't be there at all, let alone being late. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that I have to do to make sure that I create structure and stuff.
Yeah, which I didn't really realise before. And like, because a lot of people say to me, like, you're so organised. I'm like, I am not organised at all. But I've got so many structures to try and stop myself from being disorganised. And I'm much better again now. Like, it's an overcompensation, isn't it? Like, I'm much better now. I'm still always 10 minutes late. Always. And like, one of my clients thinks it's hilarious now, like, you know, and I'm just like, okay, I'll see you at 11. And then like, and we were together for like 3 days, and every day I was 10 minutes late. And like, one day I wasn't going to be, and I was like, just for consistency.
Yeah.
So you know what time to come. I'll just be 10 minutes late today. And she was like, cool, okay. Like, so, you know, but I do have like a lot of structures and a lot of rules for myself that I have to like implement in order to be able to be like a well-functioning person, really. I'm never late for trains. Things like that. I'm never late for planes. Like, all of those things I'm really good at. But like, I make sure, you know, I arrive like the allotted 2 or 3 hours that is recommended beforehand. Yeah. I don't really like, you know, playing around with that. Like, some people are okay with being there 90 minutes, and I'm like, what? Why would you do that? What if there's a queue? Yeah. What if there's an accident?
Exactly.
Like, you know, like, no.
Oh, I'm exactly the same. And again, that's one of the things that, well, you're always like on time on things like planes. Like, the idea of the first time I actually missed a plane this year, I was in Ibiza, so well, that kind of makes sense. But I never ever missed a plane in my life, and honestly, I woke up, and if this had been like 10 years ago before diagnosis, I would have had a complete meltdown. Yeah. Because for me, like, I would always be there like 2.5, 3 hours before, depending on the destination. Exactly like that. Yeah. But I think, so what you were saying that you have lots of structures and stuff. Is there any particular things that you do that helps now, like in terms of structure of organising, or that you can...
I think for me, so I had like, the reason I went to get my diagnosis was basically because I had 3 really serious burnouts like in a year. Right. And it was when I was running my own business, or setting up my own business. And it was during the pandemic, like sort of like, I did like proper pandemic times, or like just afterwards. and I wasn't able to do the things that I now see are actually key for me to be able to balance my ADHD, like without medication. And, you know, for me, that is like exercise every morning, like every morning, even if it like, but it's different stuff like every day. Like on a Monday, I do yoga. On a Tuesday, you know, I'll do weights. On a Wednesday, I do Pilates, and then bar on a Thursday. I do, like, you know, like there's something different every day.
Yeah.
So I'm not knackering myself out because they're all like slightly different disciplines. But for me, like I have to exercise like every morning to be able to like give myself that balance and that like focus for the day. And I understand I'm in a really privileged position to be able to do that, you know, because, you know, some people have got kids, maybe other people don't have like the means to be able to do that. But even if it's like going out for a walk, I have to like exercise like every day. And it is for me as well, like making sure I'm getting outside time. Yeah. And I always know if I've not been around trees for like a certain amount of time, I don't know what it is, but like I've got to be in the forest. Yeah. I've always got to be in the forest at some point. And when we moved house, like one of the things I wanted to wake up and see trees. And like there's like a big old tree like in my next door neighbour's garden, which is like lush. And I'm always close to be able to like find sort of like greenery and stuff like that now. And like on the weekend, I always try and make sure that I go to the forest or, you know, go to the beach or whatever it is. And I know when we've been busy or we've been lots of breaks and stuff like that, I can literally feel myself becoming like quite overwhelmed. And like Sean, my partner, is like, I think we should go and get some nature.
Yeah.
And then like, and I'll just be like in the car and I'll be like, oh, like it's just, you know, feeling like really quite not okay, and like I can feel like a burnout building. Yeah. And then I'm just walking around the trees, and then by the time we're in the car on the way home, I'm like, like, and I'm just like completely normal, and it's like, okay, like, you know.
I totally get it. That's so. I also have the same with nature. Like it makes a big difference if I get to go for a walk. It's actually really useful to have a dog so that I have to do it, because I have a tendency not to do things if it's just for me. Yeah. So I can tend, like having the dog means that I have to go out. But yeah, that's so interesting, isn't it? Like it is so, the exercise is obviously a huge thing for ADHD because exercise has such a calming effect on the brain. Yeah. And it is proven that exercising helps ADHD people concentrate. Yeah. And so especially if people aren't medicated, it becomes extremely important. I have a friend that exerciise every single day, and if she doesn't, it feels like a different person. Yeah.
On a Tuesday, I don't tend to exercise in the morning. I tend to do it in the evening because I have French lessons. I hope my French teacher doesn't see this. But I have French lessons in the morning. And I always get up early and do my French homework the morning before my lesson because some habits die hard. Yeah. And, you know, like this is like elective French lessons that I really want to do. Yeah. And I still can't get my shit together to do the homework before the class. And I always think about like, oh, if I went back to uni now, I'd be like this and I'd be like this. I'd be exactly the same. I would be exactly the same. Handing stuff in late, not quite getting it, like rushing a job, having things back, going like, if you did only proofread this, Beth, it would have been so much better. Yeah. Right, you know? But I am much better at stuff like that post-diagnosis, from like that perspective in terms of like looking over stuff and giving myself more time and giving myself like loads of false deadlines, and post-burnout really as well, because I was living in that deadline mode all of the time, and actually like it was creating such a stressful effect on me and my body and my brain. I like, after I had those burnouts and sought my diagnosis, I was just like, I can't live like that anymore. Yeah. And the insight of knowing that the ADHD was causing burnout and like the way that I was living was causing me to be like, you know, to feel like I was, and to not be able to look after myself like that, that forces me to fight against my tendencies to be last minute with things.
Yeah.
And I just don't live like that anymore. And it is wild how much nicer it is.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's still difficult to do because obviously that's what you don't have. You don't have that executive function that other people do have. But like now, like I set up those processes, I make sure I have somebody else to be accountable to for doing things in good time, whether or not that's my colleagues or my assistant, that I say I have to do this, otherwise it's going to be really stressful, and then I have to check in with my assistant and say I did it, and then I get like a gold star. You could pay me in gold stars basically. Like, it's awful. But that has like definitely made like a massive difference to me as well. And and that was why getting a diagnosis is life-changing and it is necessary. It's not about a label, it's not about putting yourself like in a box, like it's about giving yourself the grace and the opportunity to learn about ADHD and how you can manage it so that you basically can live well, you know, not just be fighting against yourself all the time, and not like being so mean to yourself and calling yourself lazy and calling yourself, you know, last minute and I'm so scatty and this, that and the other. Like I never ever have conversations like that now. Yeah. If I do, you know, if I am last minute with something or something goes wrong or something goes in a way that I don't like, I'm like not pleased with the way maybe that I handled that. Like I give myself a little bit of grace and said like, okay, so in this way, the ADHD won. So what can you do to not do that again? And it's usually because like, as I've always done my whole life, I've like taken on like just too much at that time. And I recognize the whole taking on too much, because also the fact is that I can do things, so many things in such short space of time if my brain is in hyper focus. Yeah. But if I'm not in that space, I overestimate how much I can actually achieve and then run for it. I always think everything takes 20 minutes. It's not true.
Like, it should only take 20 minutes.
Yeah, you know when you're just like, oh, I don't know why I thought I could do that in an hour. But those sort of things I'm sort of as well learning about now, and I'm sort of feeding back in real time. I've got a new assistant project manager, and I'm always like, that'll take an hour, and she's like, will it? Yeah, let's see. Yeah. And then like I'm feeling like, and then I feed back at the end of the day, and I was like, actually that was a full day's job, so can we make a note of that somewhere for when something similar comes up again, so that I'm just like, that'll probably be like an hour, hour two max, and I'm like, yeah, that was a full 5 hours. Yes. Exactly. So, trying to understand things from that perspective, and then to not overload myself, I guess.
It's quite interesting though. So you were saying, how long have you had an assistant?
So I've had an assistant really, like maybe for 2 years, maybe 3 years, but I've got a new assistant now who, just because the business is growing and I needed somebody who is like more of a project manager as well as being my assistant. Yeah. And so, and my colleague Heidi is going on sabbatical, and so she's going to pick up some of Heidi's role as well as being my assistant then, basically. Yeah. So,
but do you find that having an assistant really, for me, it really helped, and this should have been the big giveaway with ADHD. Yeah. If I had like a big presentation or anything, I'll get my assistant to come and sit next to me. Yeah. So that I would finish it and I would be able to focus. And now I know that is like body doubling, that someone actually sits there so that you are. But the amount I was able to do once I had someone that could just, it is literally just being there or saying to me, oh, have you finished it? Because it needs to be done tomorrow. And that helps an enormous amount.
Yeah, no, that does really help. Like when I had set up my business, I had to send timesheets, and like my entire life I've been awful at doing timesheets, like working in agencies. Oh yeah. And then I had to like send like timesheets over to my client when I was sending the invoices over, and I found it so difficult to do the timesheets. I just didn't send any invoices for like 9 months. Oh. So I'm like, but it was a pandemic, so like there was like nothing to do, nothing to spend any money on, so it was just fine. And then I had to do like 9 months of like timesheets in one go, and I was like, I cannot live like this again. So now I do basically a body doubling, which I call like Finance Friday. And the last Friday of every month, my assistant literally sits on Zoom with me and goes through like everything that we've done that month, and then we do the invoice together, because otherwise I would just never get paid.
Yeah.
And I used to love paying other people's invoices because it's such a tick.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'd be like, oh gosh, I've only got £86 in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah. It is so many tasks like that becomes easier once you know, when you know that, because again, it is so much about energy, I think, like where your energy is. Do you find that you have more energy in the morning and can do more difficult thinking things in the morning than in the afternoon, or?
No, probably the reverse.
Oh, really?
So, but I'm sort of going to do a test and learn with this, but I've just decided now that I'm only going to be doing my meetings in the morning.
Right.
So I'm doing my meetings when I'm like, I'm definitely full of pep in the morning.
Yeah.
But then because it takes me quite a long time to settle down to do a task.
Yeah.
If I did no meetings in the morning and then tried to do my tasks in the morning, I would take ages to settle down into those tasks, and that they would run into the afternoon. And then if there's meetings in the afternoon, then I don't get the tasks done, and then I end up working late.
Yeah.
So I've switched it now so that I have my meetings in the mornings, and then I have the whole of the afternoon to do my tasks. And then hopefully, because I've already I'm in gear a little bit because I've been chatting to people, then maybe I can settle down a little bit early and do my tasks then sort of between 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Also, because I think other people run out of pep around that time.
Yeah.
They're less likely to be emailing, to be calling, to be messaging, to be on Teams. So I get my quiet time really between 3 and 6 p.m. And that's when I kind of go into vroom, and can actually focus on things properly.
I have the opposite. I can't.
Yeah,
after
I think
3,
I think most people do.
Yeah, I can't concentrate on anything after 3 o'clock. Well, it's better to do admin then.
I could run into midnight. I could just go all evening.
Yeah.
But I set alarms for myself now to be finish work, or I make sure that I've got an alarm to make food or go out for a walk, or I book a gym session or something like that. A class to go to by that time to stop myself from working, because otherwise I'd just be there forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Forever.
What other things have helped you since you've had the diagnosis? What things have made the biggest difference?
I don't know really. I think trying to carve out that structure for myself. Yeah. I did some work with 2 really good coaches. One is called Get Wildly Free, and the other one is Katie Phillips, who's the burnout coach. And one of them was actually shaking off that corporate conditioning of who you think that you have to be and what kind of business you think you have to run. And actually, if you don't work, if your brain and your life doesn't work in a 9-to-5 way, then you don't have to work 9 to 5. Because I'd be getting up and getting on my desk by 8:30, because that's what you do. I'd always done, and I was being a worse boss to myself than anybody else had ever been. Yeah. And I would never be able to stop myself from finishing late. So I was like, right, okay. And then I'd always say I don't work Friday afternoons, but I always work a Friday afternoon because there's stuff that I want to finish. Nobody else is working on a Friday. Yeah. No one else is doing anything. So I actually can get my head down and get loads of things finished, and concentrate without distractions. So I just flipped it and think, actually, if I'm always going to work late and I can't stop myself, then I don't start until 10 or 10:30. On a Monday, I won't start until 11 because I always work the Friday afternoon until about 6, 7 p.m. Yeah. So I've just changed it. I don't have to work the hours anybody else does because I run my own business. And so I set the rules. Yeah. That's the freedom that there is. And actually being really open with colleagues, with clients, with my family, that this is the best way that I work. And so they have that expectation of it. Nobody's booking in a meeting with me at 9 a.m. One time somebody did 9 a.m. on a Monday and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I just didn't understand what was going on. I was like, and it was an in real life meeting and I was like, this is so out of my comfort zone. I was like, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
And I think having that has been really good. I've also got a signature, a thing on my email signature going, my email style is be really direct for some people.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Like, it's, it's just ADHD. That's fine. Because a lot of the time I'm just like, information.
Yeah.
Like, and send.
Oh, yes. That's a good point. Like, the directness and stuff can seem very different online. I thought that was me being Norwegian, to be fair. And so it took a while to understand that that's probably more like, I just need this information.
Yeah, that's how I am
End
a
of
little
story.
bit as well. And
to be honest, I think we should I add the fluff in at the end. So I wrote the email, then I'd, hi, hope you had a nice weekend, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I think my, when I see my emails written back, I'm like, oh my God, they probably think I hate them. Like, it just be... And then they see me like actually like in a video meeting and I'm like a really nice person. They're probably like, ooh, this is weird.
Yeah.
So I just added that into my email. But also I have worked out as well, when I'm working, I'm like really full on.
Yeah.
I'm always full on. I love my job as well. And I love the work that we do. So I'm always going to be like 100%, 100 miles an hour. And to combat that, I just take a lot of breaks as well. So I have like long like holidays and I have like quite a lot of like, sort of breaks that I take.
Yeah.
For like a week or whatever at a time, because I'll always work really, really hard.
Yeah.
And to balance that out, like, because I can't do a 9 to 5, like, and have that kind of balance. The way I find balance is by having like longer breaks, or more regular breaks. And I'm really boundaried with myself in terms of like shutting my emails off. Literally, like all work related notifications are off, because I think it's an ADHD thing to
just go
really
into
overwork.
Yeah.
And I have to be really boundaried with myself. And like those two coaches really helped me to do that, really.
Yeah.
And I think a lot, one of my clients before was like, oh gosh, I bet you never switch off. I can't imagine you being on holiday. And I was like, when I'm on holiday, it's like I don't even have a business.
Yeah.
It's like nobody contacts me unless they really, really have to.
Yeah.
And like everybody respects the boundaries that I place. And actually, like, it gives other people permission to, establish their own boundaries like that and think about how they want to work. And it does, I think, when you protect yourself like that and you're really open about it and say why you need it, it makes, like, that does have, like, a knock-on effect for other people,
And so did you go about, when you got the diagnosis, did you tell people immediately, or obviously friends and family, I guess? And how was that received? Or
I didn't tell everybody, because actually, like, because I'd always been quite open about the fact that, like, I've got ADHD even before I'd had like a diagnosis, because I didn't even know you should get a diagnosis.
Yeah.
I just thought it was something you had, like, I don't feel like I told loads of people, but I was definitely more open about it, maybe online, I guess. I told my parents that I'd had the diagnosis. Not that they asked any questions about it until I forced them to. And my dad was like, there really just weren't any signs though, were there? And my mother was like, yes, there were. She was just like, my mum was like quite protective of me about it, really. And I think she's read a couple of books, I think, now, and she can see that there are signs in her
so nice.
as well.
Right.
But yeah, I did, I don't know, I didn't make a big announcement or anything like that, but...
That's nice that your mum had been looking into it and reading about it, because it does make you feel a little more seen, doesn't it, when someone is trying to figure out what does that mean for you. Because I think one of the hardest things about ADHD is what the public or most people think it is. Yeah. And what it actually is might not be exactly the same. And also, as you said, women symptoms for women might look different.
Yeah.
And I think for the longest time, the whole like hyperactivity of fidgeting or moving, etc., or being hyper. Like I was sure that I would, if I did have it, I would have ADD and not the hyperactivity.
Yeah.
But I scored way high on the hyperactivity, which is now I notice it more. Like I fidget and I move more, and the noise in the head. I think.
Definitely.
What do you think? What are the kind of symptoms of ADHD that maybe you didn't know about before diagnosis that you now know, that you realize explains a lot or are really difficult?
I think it's the inability to lateness for sure.
Yeah.
But also I worked out the other day that there are things that people just like naturally understand about time.
Yeah.
That I don't understand. And they're like, oh, right, I need to be here by this time, so I need to look at this and leave at this time. And actually now I do this thing called clock maths, and I have to actually literally have a clock face and go, okay, I need to be there at this time. Okay, so how long does it take to get there? So check, okay, so it takes half an hour to get there. And then I need to have a shower, so that's half an hour. And I need to get ready, so that's half an hour. And I want to do a workout, so that's an hour. So I need to start my day in the past. Okay. So, and then I'm like, okay, so I can't do the workout.
Yeah.
So can I do, okay, so no, I can't wash my hair. Okay. I can have a shower. Okay, cool. And now I'm like, that's what I do. And I'm much better. Like my friend Sheer said to me the other day, it's like, you are like a changed person. I was like, it's clock maths.
Yeah.
Clock maths. Like,
Clock maths.
Yeah. And also like, so now I work out. I was always trying to do like one more thing, do you know what I mean, before leaving. But now I don't do that because I've done my clock maths and I know that the clock maths is going to go wrong if I add something else in.
Yeah.
But I have also worked out as well, like, it's not always foolproof because I was like, right, okay, so it takes half an hour to get to yoga and so I need to leave at this time. But then I was like, oh no, I need to be in the car at this time. Not leaving the house.
Yeah.
I need to be in the car leaving. And I literally thought, like, I was in a speed awareness course 2 weeks ago and I had this revelation. I was like, so I should be in the car at the time and leaving, not leaving the house.
Yeah.
Because you got to get your coffee and your water and your bag and your yoga mat. Like, so that actually I should be leaving the house is a new section for the clock maths. And I was like, my mind is blown, guys. And they were like, this is great to see you've learned this. And it's so funny that I was even on a speed awareness course because my boyfriend is always like, do you know the motorway speed limit is 70? And I'm like, I just like to take my time. You know? But I think it was, because in Wales we've got 20-mile-an-hour speed limits and I think I thought I was in the wrong zone, basically. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had one. But
like, I'm so glad I did that course because I've like discovered this whole new thing.
Yeah.
But I think like lateness is always really bad. So I always get really stressed about it. And so actually like having, learning about clocks was great.
Yeah. Learning about clocks.
And then I definitely move around a lot. And so I know if I've got like an important meeting that I definitely need to be like going out and burning off some steam in the morning before I do it, or going out for a walk beforehand. I also as well, like, I know because my brain is so busy and overfull all of the time, I don't have my emails on my phone, generally speaking now. Like, I definitely don't have them on the weekend. But like, if I'm on my way to a meeting, if I'm going somewhere, because a lot of the time, I don't know if you're the same, but like, you're just rushing around in your little world and whatever, and like, oh my God, I'm arriving, and I've not really thought about what I'm doing before I'm getting there, because I might be on my phone and checking emails and doing this, that, and the other, and actually that's a really poor use of my time, because I should be going to that meeting thinking, what do I want to get out of today? What are the 3 things that I want to get across? Those are the like, and actually like finding that time to
think.
Yeah. And not just be like arriving into my life, which is what I was always doing. Just like basically, like there's that, is it the gif like you get on like WhatsApp of like the kid on the roller coaster?
Yeah.
Like that's how I felt. Like I was always like living my life, just like
Yeah.
arriving places, like, you know. And now, like, I definitely do that a little bit less, I think. And just having like breaks and stuff, and trying to be really mindful about my calendar. Because I love to do stuff and I've got too many hobbies and I always want to go places and see things and this, that and the other, but I try and make sure like I don't have plans like 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
Because resting is like really nice.
Yeah.
Like, and I was never resting at all before. And now I'd like make a purposeful effort to rest.
Yeah, that's good. And what about things like, because this is one of the things I hadn't really heard about before I got the diagnosis. And obviously there's been a lot more on social media and stuff about ADHD and symptoms in the last 2 years. But rejection sensitivity, that for me, I realized was a huge part of it. I never really had a word for it. And obviously everyone gets kind of upset about things and feel it's just up to the level that you get upset with ADHD. Everything is so intense.
I think mine manifests like a little bit differently. Like, so I have a fear of rejection before it happens and before it may not ever happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, and sometimes I'm like, or I'm perceiving rejection or something happening and it's not actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm living like in a complete little dream world where like this behavior is because of X, Y, Z. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so upset. And I can't believe this person thinks this or behaves like this or whatever. And I'm like, I have to really take a step back and go, what is real? What is real? And actually, like, is this just your version of what RSD is coming out? And actually, like, you know, sometimes like I had like quite a tricky issue with a client I was doing some pro bono stuff for recently, and I think I worked out that actually that was a lot of my RSD sort of coming into play, where I'd become quite offended that I didn't feel as if they were appreciating like all of the effort and the hard work that we had done. And actually, when I thought about it from their perspective, I was like, oh no, I think actually I am definitely a part of this problem in this particular situation. And I could see that was definitely an RSD thing, you know, mixed with a little bit of burnout and stuff as well. Because I think when you're feeling really burnt out, one of the symptoms of that is feeling undervalued. Yeah. Like, which is something that I would like always sort of do recognize. So I think that's definitely something.
No, that's
I think about.
I think. That's interesting actually. That's a symptom of burnout when you feel, because I do think people with ADHD has a tendency, they're really very good at reading situations and people. So quite often you're the very sociable one, etc. So people like hanging out with you, but you certainly, I always do loads of things for people and then feel a bit like, oh, I don't really feel like I can ask for anything back. But that's, again, is a thought thing in my own head. Yeah. And actually, it was a therapist that told me about this way of thinking and this happens to everyone. But I think it's more prominent, people with ADHD, is that if you can stick to what you actually know as being the fact, like if I think the scenario she used was that going into a room where this other therapist that was reviewing her was standing by the window looking out with the back to her, and she said hello and he didn't move and he didn't turn around, and she was like, oh, he's looking out the window and he didn't hear me. And then second, oh, he's ignoring me. And then he gets further, it's like, he really doesn't like me, blah, blah. In the end, it turned out he wasn't even looking out the window. He had his eyes closed and was listening to music. Yeah. So a lot of the time we live in a reality that isn't reality because we are going so far ahead. And the being able to ask the questions when you have those thoughts, I think really helps. Like you were saying that, okay, hang on, is that true, or is this my thoughts that are going ahead of what it could potentially be? It's really hard to do though. Like now, especially with friends, and I don't know about you, like work scenarios, I've always found it much easier to speak up or say, oh, I don't agree with that, or did you mean that? But with friendship and relationships, I am terrible.
Yeah.
I just find it so much harder to like say, it feels like you're taking the piss now, or like, is this what you meant? Like, it feels much harder to do. Do you experience that?
I do. I think I've had that sometimes with like my friendship groups, because I tend to be the person that organises everything, and then I do get this thing where I feel like really undervalued, and like nobody wants to be my friend, and like why aren't they making plans for me, and why is it always me that's making plans? And I get like into like this like little loop, and I then get like really angry, and then I'm like, all of your friends have got kids, like
Yeah.
they're like real tired and really busy, and like they're just really grateful that you're making the plans.
Yeah.
And like, because, you know, it's not always that I've got the capacity to do that. But if I didn't, I wouldn't see them. And then when I see them, like, I get like all of the lush oxytocin you get from like really, you know, lovely conversations with friends that know you inside and out. You know, like those are that's the benefit of it. And, you know, and just like not everybody does have the capacity to do that. So...
No. Yeah,
like,
that's
just
true.
grow up, Beth.
Yeah.
You know, but like I can, you know, I kind of often feel, like a little bit, that's a loop I try and stop myself from getting into, basically.
Yeah.
The other things that I found really helpful that I've always found really hard is like, one is money management, impulse control, that like instant gratification, dopamine stuff. Like I definitely do not have it nailed at all, but I'm much better than I used to. And I try and flip it now to seek it in different ways. So like I'm trying to, you know, I get a big dopamine rush now from, you know, selling something on Vinted.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Instead of like buying stuff. I'm quite addicted to like selling things on Vinted now, but like that's a good thing, because we've got too much stuff in the house anyway.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend is like, should I keep this or should we sell it? Sell it. It's always sell it. It doesn't matter what it is, it's always sell it. Like he was on his way to the darts today and it's like, everyone else is going in a Christmas jumper and I don't go. And I was like, it's because we sold it. Or like getting a rush from like saving money instead of spending it, you know, like, and seeing those like little accruals and stuff like that. And I have like really good structures now for my Finance Friday, which I do for my business, but then afterwards I do it for my, you know, my personal life as well, like checking in on things and like have like it's like building really solid structures for myself around spending, saving, all of those sort of things, which was just absolutely, you know, quite chaotic before. You know, I've been lucky enough to always like have like a good job, but I've had periods like during lockdown when I obviously wasn't earning at all, because I just set up my business and then the pandemic hit and I lost like 7 clients in like 9 days.
Oh yeah.
And had like no reserves, and like that was like a real scary time. And I was like, so when I got my diagnosis and learnt about, you know, actually how financial management is more difficult for people with ADHD, like I've absolutely nailed that like in the last couple of years, which is like, it just feels a lot better.
Yeah.
Like to have an understanding of what your problems were, and then like actually like, okay, so I'm going to learn about these things and I'm going to learn about savings, and I've actually got a financial coach at the moment who's going to teach me like how to invest and stuff.
Yeah.
And like actually like I'm getting like a real buzz out of that and trying to like flip that impulse control to like healthier habits, I guess, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Things like that.
I'm actually pretty good with money, but that's probably because both my parents were bankrupt when I grew up. So the fear is greater than but impulse control otherwise though, oh my God. Like there's so many things I did in my 20s. I was like, Ah, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, that booking a flight and suddenly going to LA where I knew no one apart from a gay guy I met in a pub in Soho for 2 hours and staying with him for 3 weeks. What the fuck?
Sounds quite fun though.
Yeah, but that's the kind of shit that I would do all the time. I was like, this is normal, isn't it? And they're like, no, not many people do that.
Yeah.
So impulsivity in many ways, but it would, and that I think it does kind of burn you out in the end because you're always looking for new things and newness of anything. Like I always love getting to know and talk to new people. But then also I can get really easily bored and like people that speak slowly, for example, I'm like, my brain just does a thing. It's just like, get there faster. I already know what you're going to say. Please say it.
Yeah.
And I love my poor ex-husband. I would say that to him all the time. Can you get there faster, please?
Yeah.
Because he starts with like the story before the thing that he's going to tell you. And you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Do you have things like that you now realize is probably...
I always realised that I was an interrupter.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I realised that I was an interrupter like later in life. And I used to catch myself interrupting. And then I used to say, sorry, you carry on. And people are always really very nice. And they go, no, you go. And I go, no, I'm an interrupter and it's something I'm working on. You carry on like this. And they go, and they're like, and I'm just like that's one of the things that I really have to work on because it's that thing, innit? Like if you don't say straight away, it's gone forever.
Yeah. So you
and
end up
it's the
saying
same
nothing.
as like messaging. I have to reply. Like it's probably really intense messaging me because as soon as you've messaged me, I've replied.
Yeah, me too.
Because if
if
it's not right now, it's never.
Yes.
Like so.
Totally get that.
You know, I think interrupting's definitely one of those things like that I have worked on. I was just trying to think of the other things.
I hate those group WhatsApp things. Like group WhatsApps, I try to avoid them because it triggers my RSD really badly. Because if I say something and then no one replies to me and someone else says something, and that will have me in my head for the rest of the day at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too bad. Oh, actually, no, that is true. I've got a girls group from home. That is like that. It's really funny. We were trying to plan like a date around Christmas, and everybody be like, "Oh, I can do this day and this day," and I was like, "I'm going to do a poll, girls."
Yeah.
And so I do the poll, and then people are like, "Oh, I can do the 30th." So, can you just put it in the poll, please?
It in the poll. What the fuck are you doing?
And then nobody will do the poll in a protest because I've said, "Can you do the poll?" And I'm like,
"Oh my god, I have an
We were chatting about it at lunch the other day, and everyone's just laughing, and they're like, "Oh, I love how you just try and organise people and it just doesn't work." And I'm like, yeah, I know. But like, I could get in my head about that.
Yeah.
If I didn't just then have a conversation with myself to grow up because people are just busy and no one's got time for your stupid poll, Beth. You know?
Yeah, but I also think they should just fucking fill in the poll. I hate inefficiency. I actually did this when
I'm really, really hating inefficiency as well. I'm just which is hilarious because I never thought of myself as like a very type A person. And I don't think a lot of other people would think about it, but like I'm seeing more and more traits like this just popping up all the time. And like all of my rules that I've got to follow, and I don't like plans to change either. Like I'm really bad if plans change. Like if somebody tells me the plan is to have no plan, I'm like, cool, that's fine. But if plans change, I can get honestly, I get so ratty and so overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
It's really, that's not good. That's a really nasty side of me, like when my plans change.
I'm not sure that is a nasty side, though. I think it is understandable. Like, so I don't know. Yeah. I think... I feel like
I don't know. I think I'm not my best self.
Oh yeah, okay. But like, sure, like how the reaction comes out might not be the best. But I think it's reasonable to get pissed off when plans change. Yeah. And I also think that because I was just going to tell you the polls and stuff. When I was in my daughter was in primary school, I was a class rep one year. And that shit is so inefficient because they put up like a sheet of paper to ask for volunteers for the school fair or the Christmas fair or whatever. And then you have to check who's actually volunteered, and then you don't have enough volunteers. So being a class rep is not really for someone that's also working full time. And so I was like, fuck that shit. I'm going to give them a spreadsheet and I put everyone's name in it. And if they can't do that slot, they have to switch with someone else. But it's not my problem. Oh my God. The talk of the school. Someone actually came up to me and was like, did you hear about the mum that just put everyone's name? I'm like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the summer one, I just put all the dads, because why do they don't do anything? No one complained. None of the guys complained. They just showed up for their slot. It was fine. So it's also, I think ADHD people tend to be a little bit Monica in that sense, that you want to schedule and plan, but that's also you regulating probably yourself so you know what you have coming.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think it's bad to be efficient, but I can see that a lot of people, especially here in the UK, the whole like politeness of what you should be doing in which order is a little bit more structured, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not seen as polite to just put someone's name in.
Yeah, although like I do, if someone cancels the plan on the day, then I'm fine with that. It's the changing of the plan.
Yeah, like completely change.
Yeah, it's the thing that I don't know. I can't handle that. There's so many weird rules. But like, I think I've always been like that. Like I'd be out on holiday with the girls from school who I was actually out for lunch the other day, who were laughing at me and my pole. And I would be on the beach and I'd be like, cool, so what are we doing now? And they were like, we're relaxing on the beach, Beth. And we're like, what time are we doing that until?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, we're going to be relaxing, Beth, between 2 and 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, cool, okay, 3 hours. 3 hours relaxing. Yeah. And then the next day, like, they'd like brought a ball to the beach. I'd be like, we are relaxing today again, is it? Relaxing for 3 hours? And they were like, yeah, look, use a ball, Beth, use a ball. Like, I would throw the ball into the sea like I was a dog, and I'd just go and run after it and like bring it back. And like, they'd go, oh, she's happy now. She's got a ball. Like, it just, like, I think I've always like needed to know
what comes next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny though, like, because when I go, my brother lives in Asia, and like when I go and, visit him and stuff, and my dad would be like, so what's your plan? What are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't really know. I don't know. I think we probably might get a flight on Tuesday to somewhere else. I'm like, where are you going to go? Not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure. Like,
so you can do that because
I can do that.
Yeah.
But like, because that plan is in my control. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, control. I think that's it as well. Like maybe the control center in the brain with ADHD people tend to be fired up a little bit more because it's trying to regulate.
Yeah.
It's trying to regulate everything, right? So I cannot relax unless I know what is happening. Yeah. I almost need a slot to relax. Although I don't know whether I've ever actually relaxed. But but what I find it easier to relax when I'm doing something and when I know what's happening next.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like a jack in the box when you don't know what's happening. Oh, anything in a moment.
I find as well, like things I've thought about as well, like having stimuli to get something done, which I'd never really thought about before. I'm really awful at like folding clothes. I'm really good at doing laundry.
Yeah.
And hanging it up. But then that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, and so it takes a really long time for it to go from that stage, like into like cupboards and drawers and things. But now I've like really got into audiobooks, and like if I'm listening to an audiobook at the same time, then I can get myself to do something. And then all of a sudden I've spent like a couple of hours like sort of like folding things in a very specific Marie Kondo style, and like put everything away, made everything tidy. But before that I just couldn't do anything like that.
Because also they will distract you, right? Because then you will think of something else and you'll go off to do another thing.
Yeah, exactly. And
then it's
and I've cracked things like so bad, but like I was really bad at washing my face before bed. Yeah. And because it's really boring.
Yeah.
It's really boring. But like now I've cracked that like if I put my phone in the bathroom, I'd always brush my teeth, but like just wash my face was just like a bridge too far for me.
Yeah.
But like now I've put my phone on and like put like, you know, an episode of Friends on or something like that, and then I can do like my whole face, like, because I don't have to watch it because I've seen it a million times.
Yes.
I watch Friends like it's just the radio. It's just
exactly.
radio. I watch it every single day. And so I've always had that in the background so I can wash my face and, you know, do my skincare routine and before bed, and I've managed to hack that because now I know to do boring things I have to have something else.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
or
great.
Even if I can't quite do that, then I have a secondary set of toiletries in a basket under the bed, which I'll just do in bed.
Yeah.
Like with like a face wipe, and I'll be like, I'm no friend to the environment, but I generally don't travel by plane. I always take trains everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's my payoff is the face wipes.
Yeah.
Face wipes for trains. Like, and
okay.
I'm definitely being much more inconvenienced by taking a train to like Italy and Spain than going on the plane. So yeah. So like little things like that, like if I can see that I'm putting something off or that I think is going to be really boring, I think about like what can I do at the same time to make it worthwhile. So with like doing my physio, because I injured my ankle really badly and like I just wasn't doing my physio, so I bought myself like a beauty advent calendar, and I would put like Friends on, or I would put like a Beyonce album on and have like a cup of tea and a biscuit and this advent calendar waiting for me. And if I did my physio, I'd have the tea and the biscuit and open a door from the advent calendar. It's a very expensive way to do your physiotherapy, but luckily I've only got to do it twice a week.
Yeah.
And that kind of like reward and interest thing,
clever.
like works for me basically.
Yeah.
But like always trying to think about like if I can see myself putting something off, I just try and find a way to hack it.
Yeah.
Whereas before I would just be like, just would leave it go forever, and then like a parking fine, you know? And then all of a sudden
it's double the price. And,
yeah. And like, you know, things like that. I always think I would like keeping the London economy going with my like congestion charge fines and my parking fines.
Oh, I also had so many parking fines because remembering to do the bloody Ringo thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my memory is so bad that it's really annoying. But then I pay them straight away because I'm like, then I know that it's another double of it.
Yeah.
But it's
I have actually sent text messages to Cardiff Council before, of messages going like to my friends going, I forgot to pay the car park again. I was like, I need to get my ADHD drugs through. Surely I can't live like this anymore, like this. And then I've sent screenshots of it to Cardiff Council and they've let me off the fine.
Really?
And they've just been like, I'm so sorry, I'm terrible, like this.
Oh, wow.
But they did say, that's a one-off that they're giving me. So don't everybody do that, but yeah.
Oh, that's actually really nice. It'd be good if they had there was a bit of a discount for the ADHD perimenopausal woman that have the memory of Dory.
Yeah.
Say what? Well, did I have a car?
I know.
Oh God, have you ever parked at the airport in one of those big car parks in Gatwick or Heathrow and then forgotten which floor you're at?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it takes hours to find.
I mean, I do that just in normal car parks, but But now I think because I know, and I saw someone else do this, they take a photo of where the car is.
That's why I do now.
Like, my God, you're a genius.
Yeah, that is it.
You know?
And also when you put your coat in a cloakroom, always take a picture of that. Or the dry cleaning thing. I now take a picture of anything because I will lose that tiny little piece of paper.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing I would definitely lose all the time. So in terms of so you obviously had the diagnosis later in life. Do you and you haven't, but is it right that you haven't tried medication yet, or you're trying now?
I have. So I tried one set of meds and they were called, I can't remember, something or the methyl something.
That's the Ritalin
hydrochloride something.
They always put you on that first before they put you on anything else.
Yeah, and that was just not good for me at all in any way. It was really bad. It actually made my ADHD worse somehow. Like I forgot, like one morning I forgot like 7 things like in one morning, and I was like, that's like extreme. And it made me feel like so sad. And I was heartbroken because I just recently did a post about this as well. Like I was always going, like the reason I was going for my diagnosis was because I wanted to get medication. And so I had got my original diagnosis in 2022. And then they explained to me like how we go about getting medication, and then that ridiculous Panorama program came out, which like ruined loads of access to like shared access, and everybody had to have like an NHS diagnosis. And then
is that true? Do they? It has to be
a lot of the time, yeah. Okay. Now to do shared care agreements, a lot of people are saying that you need to have the NHS diagnosis as well. And then like to have like the liver function test and this test and this test and this that, and it was just like, again, it seemed like too many steps for me to like find manageable. And like I also wanted to sit with the idea of having had the diagnosis and maybe making some lifestyle changes before I got meds. And I did make those lifestyle changes and live my life in a very different way now. But also I still need meds.
Yeah.
But because of like the many layered process, and I also hated my old GP, like my diagnosis had lapsed, so I had to go and get another diagnosis so I could get the meds. So in my head, I was like always going for these meds, and it was like when I had them in my hand, it was like the dream.
Yeah.
I was like I honestly thought it was going to be like a literal magic pill, and I hadn't heard nobody speaking about actually, the meds don't work for women a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because obviously no research has been done, because why would you? That'd
be no woman included.
Silly.
Yeah.
So silly. I honestly was crestfallen when they weren't working for me, and they made me feel worse and like much more like sad and emotional. Like when they were wearing off, like I was like, and I spoke to myself in ways that I haven't spoken to myself since my diagnosis, where I was just like, maybe you're just fucking stupid. Maybe you don't have ADHD. If these drugs not working, maybe you don't have ADHD and you just can't do anything. Like, like really like nasty sort of negative talk.
Yeah.
And it was really upsetting, because I think because there's not a lot of talk about like how meds don't work. Like meds is the goal. You're going for the goal. You're going for the goal. And so when I picked up the new meds, Elvans, a couple of weeks back, I did write a post about it, like just for other people, because I think when you've got ADHD and you've fought so hard to get a diagnosis, to be taken seriously, all of those things, and to get the meds in your hands, and actually what lies ahead of you at that point is more work to work out what's going to be okay for you and what's going to work. And I just don't think there's that conversation is being had with people.
Yeah.
And it was just really upsetting, like, to arrive there and for things to not work. And so and I actually got loads of really nice responses of people who were very much like, without me even realising, this was like where I was reaching, like a lot of people said this was where I was reaching, that I thought like, as soon as I'm going to get these tablets, that's a goal.
Yeah.
Like everything's going to be okay. Like you're just fighting to get towards meds, and actually it's not going to be like a quick fix. And so I think a lot of people had messaged and said that they found that really helpful, because that's literally what they were doing. Yeah,
I had the same. I started with the same as you, and it made me feel worse. I felt more anxious. Yeah, and almost like a bit manic. Yeah, and I did not like it. And then I did a lot of research on how different it is for women. And Advance was the one that I went with as well, and that made a huge difference for me. Yeah. It took a while, because you have to kind of titrate on to find the right dose and whatever. Yeah. But it did do. So you've been on a few weeks of this, or?
Yes, not every day, because it's Christmas. Okay. So it's a very sociable, boozy time. Yeah. And so I don't want to have them on days when I'm drinking. Okay. But next year I'm not going to be drinking for like the first like 3 or 4 months. I always take a a quarter of the year off. Booze. So I'll be more consistent with it, but I've definitely found it helpful. Like in my French lessons, I found myself like not like actually properly able to concentrate, which was lush. And like the other day I was just kept on being like, oh my God, I'm late. And then I was like, oh no, I've got loads of time. I've just achieved so much. Like, it was really weird. I kept on being, oh shit, I must be late. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, and I, you know, and I was like, and I'd done my clock master for the day, my schedule and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was just bang on time for everything. And I was like, what is this like?
No.
But then there was the other day, and it was, you know, it was the week running up to my period or something. And I just felt, I had like real, I don't know, into club vibes.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like just rushing around and just like, I felt like I was like, oh my God, I'm on drugs and everyone's going to know I'm on drugs. Oh my God, I'm on drugs. And I was just like, I felt like I wanted to chain smoke and like just smash a bottle of like Chardonnay. And I was like, what is this? Like, it was really, really weird. And so I felt like really like rushy and like, and so I think maybe it's trying to work out what parts of the month that I take it and what parts it's not going to work as well. But yeah, I think
it does have a big impact. Like the hormones and ADHD is huge. Like I only got my diagnosis when I'd been to a perimenopause doctor and finally got that HRT, and it was partly her that was asking like, well, you know, that makes perimenopause makes ADHD a lot worse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's weird. But then I realized now I know just how much worse it gets. Women with ADHD are 10 times more likely to get postnatal depression, and a huge, I think it's in 35 or 36% more likely to have actual mood and depression problems in perimenopause. Yeah. Because their dopamine is already so low, and estrogen is really important for dopamine in the brain. So you basically go on fumes in that period where...
Yeah, I think it's all like, even like, you know, in your 4 stages of your menstrual cycle, I do a lot of work in period equality, so I'm quite well versed in that. And even sort of like during that cycle, and also like there's parts of your cycle, your ADHD can be a lot worse. I think people with ADHD are much more likely to have PMDD as well, which can be actually treated, you know, which is premenopausal dysphoria,
premenstrual dysfunction,
dysphoria, which is basically like PM, like really, really severe PMT, where, you know, you can even like be like quite like psychotic and stuff, like, you know, or not psychotic, have psychosis, that's what I meant. And I think there's so little research into how hormones affect like ADHD and what can help. But I'd really recommend people check out somebody on Instagram called @HarmonizeYou. Adele Wimslet. She's fantastic. She's really, really good.
You know that Kim recommended her from you, and I had her on the perimenopause season.
Oh yeah.
So she was on the podcast.
Yeah, she's just fantastic. Amazing. And like her knowledge about all things like you were saying, like perimenopause is really great as well. Yeah. But also as well, like actually how we can use hormones to treat, you know, menstrual issues. So like from any time, you know, when you get your first period onwards, and how cortisol affects people with ADHD, and then actually like have that, you know, you're much more likely to have high cortisol levels, which affects how you process your estrogen. So you're much more likely to be more estrogen dominant. So, and if you're estrogen dominant, your ADHD is going to go wild. And that can be happening from like the first time you have like your first period as somebody with ADHD. So all of this stuff and all of this learning, and GPs and doctors are just so far behind.
So is there any final advice that you could give to people, maybe specifically women, if they think they have ADHD, and what to do?
Just like, you know, if you think, check out a diagnosis and go and get a diagnosis, and also do your research beforehand, because even now, the ADHD forms are still very much based on questions as if you were a hyperactive teenage boy.
Yeah.
And so like trying to think about things like through different lenses. So if somebody says, do you interrupt people a lot? Because actually you might not interrupt people a lot because you're a woman and you mask, and it's not appropriate for women to be interrupting people. That's what men do. That's not appropriate either. But, you have to think about like actually how ADHD shows up in your life and kind of like tailor your responses in that way.
Yeah.
But I would just say like go and get a diagnosis, like, because like for me it has definitely been life-changing for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it is the opposite of what they're talking about of the overdiagnosis. I definitely think that it's more, we are now suddenly seeing the people that are relevant, and I really feel like if you don't get a diagnosis, the internalizing, that's the really, like, it might not be bad for everyone else, but it's really bad for you and how you talk to yourself. That is the biggest thing for me.
It's just, I think life will just be so much better as soon as you know. Yeah. And like just everything improves when you've got that knowledge. You've still got to do the work. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you've got to do the learning, and you've got to work out how you want to live now going forward, and how you want to adapt your life going forward. And like none of that is going to magically change overnight, but like everything, as far as I'm aware, like with most of my friends who've been diagnosed, like everything does improve massively. And like you can find like great communities of women to support you, and give you the knowledge to like help, and like the groups, even the ADHD WhatsApp groups that I'm in are just so useful, because you post a query or a question or whatever in there, and somebody's already been there or done it, and everybody's got like really useful advice for you,
Yeah, that's really nice. Sharing does help a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. This was really nice.
Oh, good. Thanks for listening to this episode of Am I Crazy Or? Please do hit the follow button before you get distracted, and also like and leave a 5-star review.